I was today years old when I found out about this type of quilt, even though it has been around for decades. Of course I had to try it, and of course I had to make it much easier than the traditional version. Today we're trying watercolor quilting. If you Google watercolor quilts, your mind will be blown. There are such awesome artistic watercolor quilts out there. We won't be doing anything as complicated as this. We're trying to keep it simple today. Just some fun, colorful quilts as you go that should look like a cute watercolor painting once we're done with it, hopefully. The first step is creating a blue ombre, which means we start with dark blue and end up with light blue or vice versa, just like the color wash quilts we've done together. We need 25 squares in all kinds of shades of blue, from dark to light. Why am I doing this like this? I do have a Lazy Susan, and we don't need to use the same fabric for each color value. It will look better if we don't, but if you don't have a lot of fabrics within the same color, you can totally use one fabric per value, no problem. We will need 3 really dark blues, 5 dark blues that aren't as dark as the first one, 9 medium valued blues, 5 lighter blues, and 3 really light, almost white blues, okay? We also need an 11 by 11 inch batting square and large 12 by 12 inch black squares. We will also need a 10 by 10 inch batting square and a large 12 by 12 inch black square. Last but certainly not least, we will need 3 black squares. So this is what we have for our ombre, and these are our blacks. I am doing 1 4 inches and 2 3 inches, okay? We just add 1 square at a time. There isn't much thought or concentration needed, and you may have noticed I've been gravitating towards these kinds of projects lately. I guess it's because this has been a really big eventful year and I'm feeling tired. And when I feel like this, I really enjoy sewing something that allows me to get in the flow and just enjoy the process, you know? Give my brain a break. It's not that you stop thinking, you just kind of stop directing your thoughts. They free flow to wherever they want, kind of like when you're meditating. So yeah, if you're tired too and you need to let your brain do its thing, this is the perfect project for you. Our wash is ready, and as you can see, I didn't really follow the numbers I said I would, but you know, that's sewing for you. It's organic, it's alive. This wash looks much cooler than the one I had thought on my mind before I even started doing this. And now it's time to sew it together. I'm making a mixed version, if you will. So I will be sewing the rows the traditional way, but then I'll be adding the rows together using Quilt as you go. This way is much more practical and quick. No bias tapes, no quilt tops. It's just one big piece. Now there are a couple of ways we can do this. We can get some thermal adhesive underneath, place them all next to each other, just like we did with the Tetris, and then iron them in place and zigzag quilt them, and that's it. Here's the thing, if we were to quilt as you go each piece, the rows would be pretty easy. It's when we went to sew the rows together that we would have a problem. We'd have to sew the batting together and create a lot of bulk, not to mention we wouldn't be able to have the backing fabric at this point. Another way to do this, also without the backing fabric, would be to cut strips of batting, quilt as you go, and then sew the rows together, or just make a square sandwich, you know, 1 square at a time. But to me, that all seems a little bit messy and fussy and a lot of work. At the same time, doing a traditional top and just making the quilt sandwich doesn't really make much sense because I wasn't planning on quilting this, so it would all be pretty loose. This is my backing fabric. This is my 100% cotton batting. And now comes the quilt as you go bit, as we add 1 strip. We add 1 strip. And now we are just going to sew the second strip onto it. But we want to sew it directly onto our quilting sandwich. And that's quilt as you go. I have pressed my seams in different directions to make sure I don't need to pin them beforehand. awesome. Oh, so much better than I had envisioned, which are my favorite kind of projects. Let's keep going. This is looking pretty awesome, but we're not done yet. Watercolor quilts usually means something is appliqued onto the top, a scene if you will. And again, I am keeping it simple. I am just going to draw a couple of tiny cute little fishes. And all of a sudden, this painting has turned into an underwater scene. Ah, so perfect. So let's go ahead and applique these fishes. You can add some thermal adhesive and glue them on. Then you can leave them be or use straight stitch, a zigzag stitch, or an applique stitch. And since I have never done applique with you guys, I think it's time, don't you? I'm taking my time with this, but this is actually pretty easy, okay? And it doesn't matter if it's the big fish or the tinier fish, you do it exactly the same way. You keep your eyes on the ball, seeing where you're going to go next, rearrange, and keep going. It's mommy shark time. Oh gosh, now I got the song in my head. Oh, that was a bad idea. Okay. It's daddy shark, mommy shark, and baby shark. Oh, so cute. If I can have the song in my head, so can you. Okay guys, so what's left? To do our self-binding, of course. We just fold the backing fabric onto our top. Fold once to hide the raw edges and twice to make our nice thin binding. We don't need a thick one, okay? This black is really striking. And I have to say, I've never been the type of quilter to use black, but lately it has been growing on me. Do you use black for your quilts? It's really dramatic, isn't it? Okay, we need to stitch as close to the inside edge as we possibly can. I am watercoloring my quilts from now on. I definitely will. This is absolutely gorgeous. This is so simple and it just works. Watercolor quilts work. I am never going to do just some, random square. I think this is probably one of the most awesome things I've ever done. Oh, and how easy was that? Let's see. Oh. Guys. Oh, it is so gorgeous. I love it. I hope you love it too, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.